Bitcoin doesn't need you. You need Bitcoin. That's at the individual level, the family level, corporate level, the country level. And is there enough Bitcoin for everyone? Well, no, right? That's the point, is that for everything else in life, with more demand, there's more supply. With Bitcoin, you can't make any more, so then more supply comes from within the market. It comes from get a higher price. Oh, you want more Bitcoin? Well, you gotta go get it at $200,000 per Bitcoin. There's none left at $110,000 per Bitcoin.
Jack Mallers begins by addressing what he sees as a story unraveling in macroeconomics. This isn't a short-term trend, he says. It's a full-blown monetary regime change. The core of this transformation is the reevaluation of the U.S. dollar's role as the world reserve currency. What was once considered a blessing is now viewed by many as a burden.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
We think that there's a really interesting story unraveling in macroeconomics right now. There's monetary regime change. This is a bipartisan effort in the United States to really question, in my opinion, how valuable the world reserve currency as the dollar is to us. Some of the cons and the burdens that implies on the country are inability to manufacture stuff. We're hollowing out the middle class, the wealth gap it's creating. There's artificial strength in the dollar. There's artificial strength in dollar assets, like American exceptionalism. There's a good argument to be made that that's been funded by the trade surplus of foreign countries. And so the fact that the fixed income market, the equities market, capital is rotating and trying to find real returns. Capital is rotating and trying to find a strong balance sheet. You know, companies trading at 50 times earnings, those days might be behind us soon. It's a misunderstood narrative to think that Bitcoin is for, the right or the red or Republicans. It's Bitcoin. If I owned Bitcoin because I thought Trump was going to tweet something, I'd be poor. I mean, right? Bitcoin is apolitical in that sense. It's been successful no matter who's been in office, no matter what anyone said about it. So to be clear, that's obviously not true. But what I think is the really overwhelming, powerful movement is that Bitcoin doesn't need you. You need Bitcoin. That's at the individual level, the family level, corporate level, the country level. It's the same message I gave El Salvador. Was listen, guys, you're not going to be the main character of this thing, and that's the point. Imagine how big something can become if it's a part of all of us and not you. And kill your ego and just be a part of it. Contribute nobly to it. And that is the journey every Bitcoiner goes through. And so I think Donald Trump was interested in Bitcoin, not because Bitcoin needed Donald Trump, because Donald Trump needed Bitcoin. He needed to win an election, right? He needs to find neutral reserve assets that he can start to accumulate in the face of a weakening dollar as he reorders capital flows globally. And so I see it as the natural journey that we all go through, which is I'm smarter than this thing. I mean, how many people have you met that, oh yeah, Bitcoin, no, I already figured it out, it's going to zero, right? And then you realize I'm not smarter than it, I'm not bigger than it, I'm one with it. I just need to be a part of it. And I've watched my childhood friends go through that, I've gone through that, and now I'm watching the United States of America go through that. And I think it's a beautiful journey that will be misunderstood until it's over. And is there enough Bitcoin for everyone? Well, no, right? That's the point, is that for everything else in life, with more demand, there's more supply. With Bitcoin, you can't make any more, so then more supply comes from within the market. It comes from get a higher price. Oh, you want more Bitcoin? Well, you gotta go get it at $200,000 per Bitcoin. There's none left at $110,000 per Bitcoin. And so that's what's fascinating. Bitcoin is open source software. It is neutral money. That is a lot of the appeal. And so it is there for anyone to buy it. I find it hypocritical for a Bitcoiner to say, I don't like that Larry Fink can buy it. Kick him out. Well, who elected you, Mr. Mayor of Bitcoin? That's not how it works on purpose. And so Bitcoin's for all. Listen, $900 trillion roundabout is the worth of stuff that humans own. Equities, currencies, sovereign debt, real estate, art, metals, collectibles, 900 trillion. About half of that we've monetized. So you own the art, not to put it on your wall and consume so that your toddler can throw spaghetti on it and ruin your fancy Van Gogh piece, but you're owning it because you're trying to store value. You own the real estate, not because you're living in it, because you're trying to store value. You own the index of portfolio stocks, not because you believe in leadership, you understand the products, you believe in earnings per share growth, but because you're trying to store value. So that's about $400 to $500 trillion of savings that humanity, there's a problem there. This capital is leaking. It's looking for a new home. And so the way we view ourselves is offering a transition into what we believe is the answer, which is Bitcoin, and giving fixed income, giving the equities market's worth $150 trillion. By the way, in Apple and Amazon, these companies are worth 1, 2, 3, 4 trillion. $150 trillion globally. There's a big appetite for a new home through this regime change.
For Mallers, personal responsibility is at the core of Bitcoin. You're not poor or unhealthy because of who's in office, he says. You have to take ownership, and Bitcoin gives you the tools to do just that. It allows self-custody. It allows sovereign finance. It lets you opt out of systems that don't serve you. And if you want to use centralized services, you can, but you don't have to. That's freedom. Toward the end, Mallers touches on his company's ambitious vision. A purpose-built Bitcoin vehicle, co-founded with Tether and backed by giants like SoftBank.
For us, actually, Bitcoin is the most pristine form of collateral we could ever allow a loan against. We view ourselves as not having any risk as a company. The loan's LTV is 50%, meaning, for those at home, we let you take half of your Bitcoin's worth out in cash. So for us, it's over-collateralized loan. There's no rehypothecation, it doesn't move, it's not reinvested, and we're looking forward to just showing you where it is just sitting on the blockchain. And so for us, there's no risk there. Now, there's obviously risk for the customer, right? You are taking out a loan, you owe us money, and that's leverage in your life. And we think of debt like fire. It can heat a home, it could change a village. If you use too much of it, it'll burn your house down. And so you gotta be careful. And so I believe in free markets. I really don't think that a new asset class that is the most pristine form of collateral, the best performing thing you can own that we all have access to, that we shouldn't be robbed of the ability. I mean, this is how the VOC built the biggest trade empire. They borrowed against their ships and their land. This is how US railroads were built. They issued collateralized bonds. This is how Manhattan was built. No one bought Manhattan land and real estate and then sold it when they had a medical emergency or when their kid wanted to go to college or when they wanted to put a down payment on a house or when they wanted to build a new business, a bar on their land. They borrowed against it. Tesla just put a restriction on how much Elon can borrow against his stock because he doesn't want to own dollars. He wants the most scarce, desirable good. So this market shouldn't be robbed of that opportunity just because some people will misuse the product. So we've gone to great lengths, even doing interviews like this and telling customers, be careful, there are risks. We have to issue things like margin calls to be responsible in offering this product. But where our focus is enabling those that are responsible and where this can change their life. And I think that's the free market attitude that I'm willing to go to bed with at night and feel good. Listen, Bitcoin enables you to self-sovereignly use it in a way that trusts nobody. If you want that, I fundamentally believe that in order for society to restore any sense of harmony, it rests on the idea of personal responsibility. You are not overweight or poor or sad or depressed because of who's in office or because who's your mayor. You have to own the outcomes of your life. I fundamentally believe that. Bitcoin empowers you to do that. If you want to use it in a way that just relies on you, you can. But I don't think Bitcoin disrupts corporations. I think society will be filled with businesses that sell you a service that you value and you're willing to pay for. And so it's a truly free market. You don't have to buy my stock or use my products if you don't want to, but if you find them valuable, you're more than welcome to. And that's the society that I want to live in, is a restoration of personal responsibility. And so for me, Bitcoin restores that in a very meaningful way. And if you aren't interested in what I'm selling, I'll be the first to say, don't use it. We try and be that company that's different than some of the bigger corporations that are really focused on serving Bitcoiners. For 21, I've said publicly, we intend to provide proven reserves. We are Bitcoiners. Paulo and I have held lots of Bitcoin ourselves over the years, right? And so again, we want to do Bitcoin the right way in our financial services, in our businesses, in our public filings, in the capital markets, we think that there's an opportunity to meet the market with the correct trade-offs and offer something appealing that, some people won't like, but we think a lot of people will. We're already, upon approval, we intend to be the third largest Bitcoin treasury in the world. We already own or intend to, at closing, over 42,000 coins. And so this is part of that big enough to win, small enough to grow. We feel like we can carry an institutional appetite because of myself, Tether, SoftBank, the size of our balance sheet, the size of our partners, access to the capital markets. And then where we feel like we're different is, again, we're technologists that have built very successful products in Bitcoin. We've said in our public filing, we're very interested in the lending market, in the credit market. We think that if we own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of the Bitcoin network and have access to the capital markets, there's a lot of utility that we can build in the form of software that's going to change the world on top of just the balance sheet. And we feel uniquely capable within the Treasury Company C of large swaths of capital, big balance sheet, big partners, and proven technologists that have executed at a tremendously high level. And so what we've seen is an overwhelming amount of institutional demand and capital markets appetite. And what we wanted to bring to the capital markets that we feel is unique is a purpose-built Bitcoin vehicle, co-founded by Tether and myself. We've been in Bitcoin for over a decade. This is not a recent pivot. This is not a new idea for us. We've had success in this industry, and we wanted to bring blue chip credibility and be big enough to win that could muster the skeleton of institutional demand. A SoftBank can write us $1 billion check, but startup upside and small enough to grow, and technologists that can actually build and innovate in the space. And that is our mission, and to try and be one of the best ways for the capital markets to participate in what we think is, the 60-40 portfolio might be dying. And something like 21, we hope, can play a part in future portfolios and recapitalizing the world through this monetary regime change.
With over 42,000 Bitcoin in treasury and plans to be the third largest holder behind only MicroStrategy and the U.S. government, Mallers wants to offer capital markets a vehicle that's credible, liquid, and deeply aligned with Bitcoin's ethos. This isn't a crypto pivot. He's been building in this space for over a decade. And now, Strike is leveraging its balance sheet, capital markets access, and technical expertise to build a future where Bitcoin becomes not just an asset, but an operating system for the global economy. Please like and subscribe.